Here again with Smart System. In our last lesson, we looked at the Producer Price Index, an indicator which gives us insight into the producer price pressure side of the equation. In today's lesson, we're going to look at the consumer side of the equation with another indicator, referred to as the Consumer Price Index. So let's get started. Released at 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, on approximately the 15th of each month, the Consumer Price Index is a measure of the changes in prices paid by urban consumers for a fixed basket of goods and services, where the Producer Price Index, which we learned about in our last lesson, measures the increase or decrease in the price producers receive for their goods. The Consumer Price Index measures the price that consumers pay for those goods. The question that naturally arises when hearing, would those two numbers be the same, or at least move in tandem with one another? And the answer to that question is not necessarily, for the following reasons. Number one is the PPI is designed to measure the entire marketed output of US producers, which includes goods and services purchased by other producers. The CPI, on the other hand, includes only goods purchased by consumers. Number two is that imports are excluded from PPI, but included in the CPI. And then number three is taxes paid as part of the purchasing price by the consumer are included in the CPI but not in the PPI. So the important thing to understand here is that, while changes in PPI are normally looked at as having a predictive power, as to changes in the Consumer Price Index or CPI, a rise or fall in the PPI does not necessarily mean this, that the same rise or fall on the CPI is coming, as this is the case. And as the CPI is the end price paid by the consumer, it's this number that best represents the level of inflation in the US economy. And one of the things, if you've been following the news recently, there's been some talk about here, is that producers are not actually being able to pass a lot of the price increases that they are getting along to the consumer. And you're seeing things like restaurants switching out different ingredients and stuff too, trying to avoid passing those price increases along to the consumer, with some of the commodity prices rising so drastically in the recent past. In addition to showing fluctuations in price from different areas of the country, the CPI also shows the fluctuation in price for different groups of products, such as housing, transportation, medical care, etc. This allows traders to see not only the price fluctuations of the overall economy, but like the PPI for different areas of the economy. So where consumers are getting hit with the most price increases of where the most price fluctuations are throughout the country, there are two main CPI numbers reported, which are the CPI for urban wage earners and clerical workers, called the CPIW, and the CPI for all urban consumers, which would include things like retirees, etc. And this is the CPIU that's called, which basically give two separate numbers for price increases experienced by working people and then price increases experienced by all consumers. As with the PPI, the Consumer Price Index is also presented without volatile food and energy included. And this core CPI number, or the CPIU minus food and energy price increases, is the most widely followed number. And that's the number that you normally hear reported when people refer to the CPI. So as we've learned in previous lessons, the level of inflation in the economy has a huge effect on the market. As the CPI is the primary measure of inflation, fluctuations in this number can create large market volatility as well. As with all the other indicators we're studying as well, the market's gonna react differently to the number, depending on what it's focused on at the time. So the best way to learn how to anticipate the market reaction under different scenarios with this number is to follow several releases in real time, many of the other indicators, and with this in mind. So that's our lesson for today. In our next lesson, we're gonna take a look at another indicator, which has ramifications on both price and growth in the economy, existing home sales. So we hope to see you in that lesson. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. And good luck with your trading. Have a great day.